And now, welcome to The Rest of Her Story, a series where we explore the life of women who should be remembered in history, given in the style of Paul Harvey's radio show, The Rest of the Story. Episode 1, The Incredible Life of Miss Addams. Our story today of Miss Addams begins with young love. In 1917, on a dark December night in Alabama, Miss Addams was up late and waiting for her fiancé, Peter. They were going to secretly elope at midnight. Up until this point in her life, Miss Addams had been well taken care of, and her family did not believe that any man could care for her in the manner that was required. In fact, they didn't believe that Miss Addams should marry at all. Miss Addams had needs above and beyond your average lady at the time. She was also incredibly gifted, but we will get to that soon enough. The family of Miss Addams had previously learned about their plan to marry and were quite against this taking place. Her father had been a Confederate officer in the Civil War, and her mother was an educated Southern belle. Peter was a young journalist from the North and, more importantly, a socialist. This would not do at all. Unfortunately for the young couple in love, they never eloped that night. Some say that Peter never showed up due to being previously threatened with a shotgun by her family. Others say that Miss Addams was prevented from going to the front porch to meet him when the time came. At any rate, Miss Addams was heartbroken and went through a painful grieving period. Peter went on to marry another, but Miss Addams stayed single for the rest of her life. When Miss Addams was older, she wrote the story of her life and included a chapter about her love for Peter, entitled A Sad Episode. She called their love a little island of joy surrounded by dark waters. Eventually, her heart mended enough to return to living her life as an example and a champion for others. You see, Miss Addams was already a world-famous woman. She had known Alexander Graham Bell since she was a girl. Miss Addams was also friends with Mark Twain since childhood. She knew many important people and hoped that her unique point of view and incomparable ability to communicate with others could help many people all over the world. As Peter had been, Miss Addams was also a socialist, having joined the party in 1909 and the Industrial Workers of the World in 1912. She described herself as a militant suffragette and spoke in favor of birth control. Miss Addams was also one of the first supporters of the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, and in 1916 gave a large donation to them, for which she earned grief in the press back in her hometown. Miss Addams stated her beliefs the previous year in 1915. When one comes to think of it, there are no such things as divine, immutable, or inalienable rights. Rights are things we get when we are strong enough to make good our claim on them. She also previously said, "The country is governed for the richest, for the corporations, the bankers, the land speculators, and for the exploiters of labor. The majority of mankind are working people. So long as their fair demands, the ownership and control of their livelihoods, are set at naught, we can have neither men's rights nor women's rights. The majority of mankind is ground down by industrial oppression in order that the small remnant may live in ease." Miss Addams starred in the film Deliverance in 1919, where she met Charlie Chaplin. In keeping with her support of workers, when Deliverance premiered in New York City, Miss Addams joined the striking actors instead of attending the festivities. Miss Addams redoubled her efforts to help workers, women, people of color, disabled people, and the poor to have their rights recognized. She co-founded the American Civil Liberties Union in 1920, the same year that the 19th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution was passed, giving women the right to vote for the first time. Miss Addams gave speeches in support of workers and the disabled around the world, and visited 39 countries between 1939 and 1957. Miss Addams was vocal about her opposition to war, but visited injured soldiers between 1943 and 1946 during World War II. Miss Addams met every U.S. president from Calvin Coolidge to John F. Kennedy. She also met Winston Churchill, who called her the greatest woman of our age. Miss Addams wrote 14 books over her lifetime and a great many articles and speeches. Some of her writings were controversial, others were inspiring. Miss Addams died in 1968 at the age of 88, having lived a remarkable life of humanitarian activism. Have you guessed the full name of this amazing woman yet? Here is a hint. Remember the photo of Miss Addams at the beginning of this video? It is part of a note that she wrote to Peter when they were planning to get married. That's right. We have been exploring the life of Helen Adams Keller. Helen Adams Keller lived a full and meaningful life helping others, despite becoming blind and deaf as an infant. Most people know about Helen from The Miracle Worker, which told the story of her gifted teacher Anne Sullivan when Helen was a girl. But few know what remarkable things Helen did when she grew up. And now you know the rest of her story. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed learning about these lesser-known facts about Helen Keller's life, please like and subscribe to this channel. You can also leave comments about the lives of other women in history that we can explore together. Until next time, goodbye for now.